Hello Outlanders! These are our former offices where it all started 7 years ago. We have come a long way since then. We have released on consoles, expanded the team, changed offices, and now we are about to release on PC. Let's have a look at the journey that led us here.
I still remember the time where we were about to announce the game on E3 during 2018. And I have to tell you that this was quite an exciting experience. Just seeing our first trailer ever on the big screen, it was absolutely magnificent. Those were exciting times, but obviously we still had a long way to go. The game looked very different than it does right now. So during 2018 and also during early 2019, we were constantly working on improvements, right? We only had one game mode at the time. We were also working on the shelter improvements. We introduced duos for the first time, and we were just constantly tweaking the gunplay and everything else. So yeah, this is how it all started. And our story continues. After about a year in the game preview, it was finally time for the full free-to-play release of the game. At the time, we decided to combine the full release with our presence at Gamescom, which was super cool. We even built a shelter for our booth at the time, so that was super awesome. We were announced during the Xbox Inside show, and at the time we also were an Xbox exclusive title. For the full release, we were adding a bunch of new stuff, mostly new languages, so a bunch of localizations. We also had to increase the amount of game servers, obviously, as we had more players swamping in. We introduced new weapons, new challenges, and obviously many bug fixes as well. After the full release, we tried our best to introduce new exciting content with every major update that we released. For example, with update 1.1, we introduced new encounter map, the Bridges. 1.2 brought our first ever Battle Pass season, the Preppers. And to be completely honest, it remains my absolute favorite. And with 2.0, we introduced Hunters, another Battle Pass season, and also you may notice that we changed the way we name our updates. We also tweaked the XP curve needed to level up in the Battle Pass based on your feedback, our players, and we adjusted the price a bit. After many improvements and updates on Xbox, we finally decided to bring Vigor also to Nintendo Switch in 2020. We started with a small closed beta in April, and then we decided to release it as a Founders Pack edition in July. And then we finally switched to the free-to-play version in September of 2020, obviously followed by many improvements and updates afterwards. It is also important to mention that year 2020 was quite successful when it comes to our releases, because we also managed to release Vigor on PlayStation 4 and 5 as well. This happened in December, and this time Vigor was free to play right away. Apart from that, we obviously also released many seasons and updates along the way. For example, seasons 3 to 9 introduced many new groups of Outlanders and Battle Pass seasons, including Junkers, Trappers, and Stalkers. We also introduced new consumables such as caffeine and iodine. Quite a few new places actually expanded the Outlands, including Sawmill and Anakin, and also the armory next to your shelter. But it's obviously not all. With seasons 10 to 19, we, for example, improved our cosmetics production, and we also introduced many flexible outfits such as the electric helmet, for example. We also expanded the Outlands even more with new encounter maps, shootout and elimination arenas such as Kirsten, Mirren or Akeven. Then we added a bunch of new features, for example, the cassette tapes, the vinyls, radioactive grenades, smoke grenade. We also completely reworked our challenges system and the leaderboard, which was heavily requested by our community.
Vigor was originally meant to be released only on consoles. Bringing Vigor to PC was one of the most discussed topics among the Vigor supporters, and we heard their voices. Our team invested a lot of effort into the game over the years. Many new features and improvements were implemented since the initial release, and we believe the PC players deserve to taste the Vigor's atmosphere as well.
Since the very beginning, when we decided to port Vigor to PC as well, we knew that with our capacities and with our team needing to fully support also the console versions, we simply weren't able to build it completely internally. That's why we decided to team up with an outsourcing studio, and they helped us tremendously with the development of the PC version of Vigor. So that was a huge help, and thanks to that, none of these seasons were really affected by the fact that the team is also working on the port. The only season that was minimally affected was season 19, where we were really focusing on the final stages of the PC development. When it comes to the release, we would like to release as an early access on Steam in the middle of May, and Vigor will be available for $19.99. Outlanders will be able to enjoy season 18 during this time, just to try everything out, and the full free-to-play release is planned for later this year. You may be wondering why we decided to go with the early access instead of just full release. But as you have heard throughout our journey, we used this approach multiple times and it was always the best experience possible. We simply want the early feedback from our players so we can make the important tweaks, get rid of the most critical bugs and just get feedback on the new features. For example, we also finally are finishing our weapon overhaul, so we want to try it during the early access period, get the early feedback from our players, see how that goes and make all of the necessary tweaks. So overall, this is why we decided to go with the early access first. As I said, Vigor will be available for $19.99 during the early access period. It will be actually only available to those who purchase the Reinforcements pack. The Reinforcements pack is very similar to our original Founders pack, so it contains a bunch of stuff, weapons, consumables, and also exclusive cosmetic items that will be available only to those who will support Vigor during the early access period.
Once the early access will be over, progress will be wiped for the PC players, but the contents of the Reinforcements pack will be carried over to the free-to-play version. It's time to wrap up, Outlanders. You have seen the history of Vigor, and now we are getting closer to another chapter, to the chapter of Vigor getting on PC, to the chapter of Vigor becoming the first Bohemia game released on all the major platforms. Huge thanks to our team for their effort, and huge thanks to the community for their never-ending support. Have a great time and see you in the Outlands.